next conversation, we're looking at empowering future leaders, igniting change, and the positive impact. For our moderator, we have Dr. Asha Bhandarkar, Advisor, HR, T-Hub, former Dean and Distinguished Professor, Org Behavior, IMI Delhi, an author, researcher, Senior Fulbright Fellow, Public Speaker, Development Coach, Psychologist with a PhD in Business Administration, Osmania University, Hyderabad, India. An independent director on the PNB board and director on the board of IMT Ghaziabad. We also have the resource person and our panelist, Dr. Ambuj Gupta, Higher Education Leader, Management Consulting. The domain of work includes improving effectiveness of educational institutions, helping them navigate challenges related to leadership, policy administration, and academic programming. We also have Mr. Amitabh Singh, Head Business HR, ICICI Home Finance, joining us. In this capacity, somebody who's responsible for leading and managing the human resources functions that directly support the business operations of the company. We'd also like to request the company of Nidhi Kajaria, if she's in the room, Head of HR, ICICI Securities, a human resource leader with diverse experience in leadership development, performance management, regulatory compliance, rewards, and benefits management. May we request our speakers to please proceed outside for the networking so that we can give the opportunity for our next speakers to please join us. Thank you. We'd also like to request Shiv Singh, ED Indian Bank, who's going to be our key panelist on this forum. We also have Dr. Chetna Pandey, GM HR, Union Bank of India. Started with her stint in Union Bank of India in New Delhi, and of course then she later transitioned to her stint in Union Bank of India, Mumbai, with over 7+ years. So with that, let's call all our eminent panelists, and of course starting and leading from the front is going to be Dr. Asha Bhandarkar. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she joins us for her thoughts and moderation. Can we also request Dr. Ambuj Gupta, Amitabh Singh, if Nidhi Kajaria is in the room, please requesting her to join us, Dr. Chetna Pandey, and if we could have Shiv Singh, ED, Indian Bank, to please give us their valuable time and join us for the same. Of course, Dr. Asha yesterday did give her closing remarks on one of the pivotal panels, and we look forward to her expertise and academia to curate this conversation. Of course, we'll give them a couple of minutes to settle down and get ready for our panel. But may we urge everyone else in the room to please do not continue with the conversations right now. Give our humble respect to our panelists on stage. With that, over to you, Dr. Bhandarkar, to take it forward.
Good afternoon. Tough one for you guys, I feel for you. I want to say that I was, as the previous panel was going on, the image, when I was thinking about this day, the image which came to my mind is a sandwich. So on the outside you have this bread. So many of those things I view as the bread, the sessions in the morning, sessions in the afternoon. And I'm saying that whatever is at the core is the best part of the sandwich. And that's what we are going to now. And it's not only a light-hearted comment, but also want to convey to you that we talk business, strategy. But who is behind that? What is behind that? It is the organization and it's the people. And what we do to develop those people, groom those people, support those people, so that they do what is required for the business. I think that is at the core, which we are going to debate today. And you know that we have 3 distinguished speakers here, Mr. Amitabh Singh, Mr. Shiv Singh, and Dr. Chetna Pandey. And each comes with the valuable, rich experience, and we're going to talk about it. Before that, 1 or 2 minutes, please permit me to share my thoughts. I mean, people have been talking about India's economic growth, Viksit Bharat and all that, which is absolutely on point. I've been doing a little study on, the demographics and the point about growing rich before growing old as a country. And there is a small window of opportunity of about 37 years. That's what I read. I mean, whether it's 37, 40, 30, we don't know really. But these are some kind of speculations based on data, no doubt. So to take advantage of this opportunity, we really need some big actions, and we need big decisions, and we need a large number of empowered leaders to function, which is where we are talking about the role of empowerment for leadership development for the future. So this is where we are now. And for a start, I'm going to request each one of our guests here, panelists here, to share their initial thoughts on this topic. And if they have any experiences to share, they can connect it so that you guys get an exposure to what's happening in their fields. So let me start with you, Amitabh.
Sure, thank you, and we'll keep it short. We understand the food is important. So I've been with ICICI for 2 decades now, so I'm going to call upon all my experiences between 3 different companies of ICICI. Currently, I'm the CHRO at Home Finance, but before that, 10 years with bank and 10 years with our life insurance company. Before that, I worked with L&T and Tata's for a long time. I think it's a very appropriate conversation we are having about empowerment. And the way I have experienced in my professional life, it comes with 2 words, responsibility and accountability. And I believe it's very difficult to define what empowerment means unless there is a person who is willing to take responsibility and feel accountable for the outcome. It's not about policies, processes, which will tell you saying, okay, now you can do X or a Y. But as long as we define very clear roles and a sense of purpose, and let people experiment with the methods which they want to employ in achieving whatever goal they want to do, though it comes with accountability. The example which I'm going to refer to is like an armed forces. Right? If you ask a soldier, they will never ever say that I'm not empowered, because there's a huge sense of responsibility, accountability built into them with a sense of purpose. They know what their job is. So, in armed forces, you'll never hear words like accountability or empowerment or lack of freedom, because it comes from the sense of purpose, clear roles definitions, and then the freedom to do what you want to do. So that's my 2 bits on the topic.
Right. I think rightly emphasized responsibility and accountability. Thank you, Amitabh.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, and thanks for the opportunity. Myself, Dr. Chetna has completed almost 25 years in Union Bank, which is a public sector bank. And for me, the topic is very close to my heart, because currently I am also part of the HR and learning and development, wherein we are day in, day out, we are talking about empowerment and creating future leaders. As an initial thought, apart from what my co-panelist has already shared about accountability, we also try to inculcate ownership and accountability, number 1. The second most important aspect which we are looking forward is how to increase the overall trust within the organization, whether it is for employee trusting their organizations, their supervisors, because huge trust deficit leads to lower level of accountability and ownership. And the third aspect, when we talk about leadership and empowerment especially, is are we creating a vision for them wherein they can visualize, have that clarity of thoughts, what they are going to execute, and what is their clear-cut goals and achievements. So keeping all these 3 levers, the various initiatives which we are taking within the bank, building ownership, trust, and creating visionary leaders, is what we are looking at as empowerment in Union Bank of India.
Oh, great, thank you. Because you're now opening up the topic into its depth. So before that, let me ask you, sir, Shiv Singh ji.
I'm S.B. Singh, currently with the Indian Bank Executive Director. I had been in the banking industry and prior to that in academics. My total experience ranging 3.5 decades. My initial thought on this is basically the role of leader or leadership development is first you have to envision something, then you have to accept that it is practicable, it is implementable, and then sharing the vision. Because the leadership per se is not about what you as individual can deliver. The only thing is what you can think of, and you accept it, it is deliverable, and then among your team members, if you are empowering the people, if you are allowing them to believe that it can be delivered by them and develop a shared vision, only then the leadership, I can think, it will ignite change. And if with the change and it is accepted by others, then it will have positivity across the spectrum to deliver the things. And I think that should be the prime role of the leadership.
Thank you so much. So as I listen to all three of my panelists, what comes to mind is we're talking about ownership, accountability, trust building, visioning, as a cluster, which is very important for developing future leaders. But now the context is changing, and at the same time, the organization structure, especially in the public sector, seems to be constant. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. It continues to be hierarchical. It continues to be bureaucratic. I hope I'm not offending any public sector people, but this is what I have seen, okay? And in this context, how do you ensure the development of trust, accountability, ownership? This is one question which I would like you to take up. And Chetnaji, I mean, how are you doing this through your learning and development initiatives or other initiatives?
Yeah, so very rightly you have put, ma'am. We being as a part of public sector, legacy bank which we are having, the level of hierarchy is definitely high. And we cannot assume that the structure is flat at the level of leadership and decision making. Now, the observations which have been through the various multiple employee surveys or the pulse check surveys we keep on doing, we found that the different generations we have to deal with within the organization. So we have a set of millennials, we have a set of Gen Z, as well as now Gen Alpha also joining us. And their expectations from the bank as well as the leadership is completely different. So for instance, if we take the Gen Z, which approximately 30% of our workforce, they don't believe in too much of hierarchy. They believe more on acceptance, giving more space and freedom, more creativity and innovation. So when we are talking about this set of workforce and when we are driving ownership and accountability, we need to look at their perception, how they perceive work and the workplace. So creating certain agile teams, bringing in more innovative and creativity in the foray, rewarding them for their creativity and innovation. For instance, in our bank, we started a concept of think tank. Earlier, it was considered to be a domain wherein the research scholars, especially the domain experts, sitting in the higher top office or corporate office or the verticals, they were only the think tank in deciding, defining the policies. So in order to decentralize, we thought that we will bring in more and more junior people, youngsters, who will be part of the think tank, who can generate ideas for either product development or policy making. And also basically we will reward them for those ideas. So like idea of the month and accordingly employee of the month. And it has brought a lot of traction wherein we could break some kind of hierarchy to some extent as far as decision making is concerned. And the second aspect is again leadership development. Now leadership development earlier was thought of that is an area which the bank should look up at top leaders, that is our general managers or deputy general managers. but we were not moving to the backbone, which is the middle management group. So as part of another initiative in our bank, we thought of just in lines with what programs which is run by IBA and FSIB for the top managements like executive directors and other directors to the board. We designed a unique program for our middle managers who are chief managers and who are assistant general managers. It is a long duration program. And third aspect, that we made this program more and more aspirational. Instead of giving all the programs to all, make it more aspirational, wherein we selected few out of them who really aspire to grow and develop as leaders. And we call it as Union Advait. It's a flagship program which we run for almost 500 employees we have selected. And we are creating more future leaders who are given multiple different kind of exposures, business projects, where they can deliver and present. So automatically that kind of hierarchy in decision making or in leadership breaks, and they feel more confidence in them and to groom themselves and aspire for reaching on the top. So these are few initiatives which we have brought in, apart from many, which has really helped us to bring in more accountability, more ownership, and also building trust, which I was talking about.
So you're talking about training as a major route, right?
Yeah, training as well as strategic initiatives like creating a think tank, creating innovation hubs, creating agile teams for project management, which actually not only bring in top leaders, they are just the listeners, or they will provide the guidance based on the work which our junior teams does. Now bringing in more new domains like analytics, AI also in different areas. Now we have analytics team across business vertical also. Earlier we have developed a center of excellence for analytics, which earlier was a part of IT, and now it has developed as a full-fledged vertical who can analyze on various domains. And accordingly, we are tying up with learning and development by bringing in more aspirational leaders. For instance, for analytics, every year we come up with an expression of interest. Who wants to work in analytics or grow up their career in that particular domain? Right. So their junior employees definitely feel a lot of empowerment because they really aspire to work in these type of domains which are emerging trends in banking. So likewise, there are multiple interventions at the level of strategy as well as at the level of learning and development which we are undertaking in HR.
Sounds fascinating, ma'am. Thank you. May I come to Mr. Singh?
To me, first, I don't fully agree with your concept that public sector organizations are highly bureaucratic. Yeah, some amount of bureaucracy is there because of the rigidities in the systems and procedures. Right. If, as of now, we see in the banking industry per se, except for the two issues, one of the compensation package, or other one is some labor laws. We are at liberty to do whatever we want to do within the given framework of the economic system. So if we say that it is because of the bureaucratic hierarchy, it is not that acceptable as of now, number two. When we are talking of change or leadership, we have to see that gone are the days when the presumption was that all the knowledge lies at the top management. So we have to start, initially the communication was one way, from top to down, what has to be done, and from bottom to top, what has been done. That was in the form of reviews or something like that, you can call it. But now on n number of issues, two-way communication is there. And until and unless you are going for two-way communication, because these people, for two-way communication that is bottom to top, that is extremely required because these people are much closer to the customers. Until unless we hear from them what they want, any prescription from the top, that can be away from the ground realities. So that has to be there. Third initiative, what we have to do, we have to develop two sort of people, and what we are also doing through different types of trainings, placements, and leadership management, that you have to identify the leadership pipeline. So what we have done in our bank, that close to 400 people above scale 5 and 6 and 7 in that range, rising stars. So we are grooming them with the residual good length of service that they will be the top leaders. So they should be given training for that. And whereas the lower level, it has to be the skill development for differentiated activities. Gone are the days for the generalist streams. Now we have to develop expertise. If we see our counterparts, particularly if you see in NBFC, what is having? They are having home loan specials. They are having MSME. They are having MFI. They are having hospitals. They are having schools. So everywhere they are having specializations. So if we have to cater to those sectors, we should also have the specialists at that operational level. So at the junior level of officers or the middle level officers, we have to develop those specializations who can compete with the emerging segments, either from the private sectors or from the NBFCs or for the emerging fintechs. And thirdly, the collaboration with the fintech, that is also equally required, because the delivery has to be not only cost efficient, it should be time efficient also. Because if fintech can deliver in 24 hours and we say manually we will deliver in 7 days, I think nobody will be the taker. So all the combination of technology adoption, giving specialization training to middle and junior level officers, and at the senior and top level officers, leadership development. So a mix of these three that will lead towards the change.
Thank you. I think we've heard the public sector view, and now Amitabh is going to represent
Sure.
private sector view, of course.
So, it's something very interesting which is happening, and at least in ICICI, what we've been trying to do. No right, wrong. We work almost 99% of time on building culture. There's no other work of HR and the top leaders. There's nothing else which we do. So we have defined a set of cultural anchors, and all the time we are working on it on a real-time basis. And one of the beliefs we have is that if you have good people, they can do anything, right? And why I say it's a bit of a contradiction, because we learned it from public sector banks, that if people are good, a general banking person can become a head of technology, or a person can move to finance and HR, and that's exactly what we are doing at ICICI. Our head of credit cards used to be head of audit, internal audit, and compliance. And there we move, it's rare. Our head of, our executive director, retail or businesses, used to be our earlier CFO, Rakesh Jha. So, and we learned it, and we realized somewhere PSUs are moving to other directions, and when we think that if people are good, possibly we should learn a lot from what SBIs and the PNBs of the world have done. We've also defined that compliance or whatever regulator says has to be done. It's not for negotiation. It's a 0-1. You know, either you're compliant or you're not compliant. You can't be half compliant, right? So whatever regulators say, not to be debated, it has to be done. And one more aspect, that outcome matters. So we have been trying to decongest the work which people do across hierarchy, and like Mr. Singh rightly said, actually the person who's meeting the customer knows best. Everybody else just is English in between. So we spend a lot of time trying to listen to customers and people who are on the front line, and we decongest the work which people do. And it can actually build in a large organizations, you can have hundreds of MISs flowing to a branch manager. And that will only confuse the branch manager. So we simplified that and said only one MIS. Only talk about, if you're doing mortgage, just talk about how many loans did you disburse. And if you're talking about CASA, how much of money you brought in. Don't confuse by pipeline, flow, analytics, some big words, because the person on the ground needs to be absolutely clear. So some of the examples of the work which we've been doing, and the biggest of all has been that, we all need to know why do we work. We are here for ICICI. And ultimately, if ICICI makes profit, then everybody gets rewarded. So there are no, we don't do performance ratings. If ICICI Bank delivers whatever it's committed to the board, everyone gets assessed the same. That's bringing the one team feeling. Because if I start differentiating, if something has not worked, the accountability rests with the top. So if a particular work has not happened, I will lose my bonus and not the person who's 3 levels below me. So that brings in the accountability, what I was referring to. And the top 700 people, I think in ICICI work hardest, not the person who is the bottom of the ground.
Right now, what's coming to my mind is, but what about this culture of micromanagement which happens in a large number of organizations? Because in fact, toxicity, micromanagement using technology has been one of the leading causes of toxicity in organizations. So I don't know, any of you have thoughts on that?
No, absolutely right, and things like WhatsApp only makes it worse because you assume that everybody is available. So that's where I said, cut down all the MISs, no reviews. We don't let managers do reviews, especially with the people who are in the field. Because you'll have various product heads coming and doing sometime credit card and assets and something else. There are always some 20 reviews can be done by the bosses. So cut out on reviews, cut out on MISs, cut out on asking same question 10 times in a day. It just doesn't add value. And let people in the branches and on the ground meet customers. Even in our business, it's relatively small. We are only 6,000 people. Just let people go and meet customers. So we put time, like 11 a.m. till 4 o'clock in our home finance branches. You can't be in office. You have to be out with the customers. So basically, you create a design that people are spending more time with the customers, then everything else gets cut down. Reduce the number of people who are in the corporate offices. Because if you have more people and more knowledgeable people, they'll create work for not themselves, but for everybody else. So reduce the number of people. So automatically, if you have less people, they'll focus on the core work and not confuse everybody else with, right? On toxicity, I have a different take. And
my only limited point was in the context
sure,
of micromanagement.
Yes.
Yeah, so I do agree, micromanagement never works much, and gone are the days when we as leaders are micromanaging and getting the things done, because the perceptions of the workforce has completely changed. They feel more empowered and take the ownership, provided they are given space. They are given the liberty to come up with their own suggestions and inputs, and also delivery. So just as Amitabh ji was mentioning, that in ICICI they have given full impetus on the overall performance by removing the performance ratings. We have not done like that. We have transformed our performance management system. We have revamped it, keeping into the main objective, that is how to build a performance-driven culture in the bank. That was one objective. And linked to that was talent management. That is how we can, for that performance, how we can manage the available talents which we are having. Because most of the time, we as top leaders and HR managers are not aware of the talent which is within in-house. So that, what levers we can create. And the last third point, which was very, very significant, which you also mentioned, was technology. Now, technology is an enabler. So technology we need to use as an assistant and an enabler for devising these processes, because it brings in more and more transparency. It brings in more fairness in treatment, reduces the turnaround time of some of the many mundane jobs. Earlier, most of the things were done on manual basis. Later on, then ALPMs came, and likewise computers have brought a revolution. Now we are looking at AI. Now, it is not that the AI is going to completely replace the workforce, but definitely it is going to be creating more and more enablers. For instance, now usage of AI is very, very important, which we need to look at. For instance, I'll give an example which just happened a few days back. One of my colleague and employee, I gave an assignment to write a letter, which was a formal letter. When we were in her age, we will spend a whole day in preparing a formal letter which has to be sent somewhere outside. I got the result in few minutes. Then when I asked, then they said that they use ChatGPT because everything is available there. Now I said that then where is your creativity? Where is your thought process? So to this approach, their approach is different completely. They say that so many jobs which are mundane in nature, which can be handled by technology, let technology handle. We can do much better things and much bigger things. So that is where we are able to use technology. So building all these together, definitely we feel that we can empower our own employees by number one, making them more and more performance driven and connecting to the sense of purpose and vision for the bank as a whole, building in the requisite talent, whether it is leadership, building in skill gaps, and using all this by enabling through the technology platforms which we are building in. So likewise, we can definitely work on these three levers, and it will also eliminate to a larger extent micromanagement.
Thank you, thank you. Do we have another 5 minutes, sir? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, basically, per se, what we call the micromanagement, with the advent of technology, I think more it is related to information management. But what I personally feel, or what I'm practicing in my life is, that I don't believe too much in micromanagement. If you believe in micromanagement, the creativity of the down the line people, that will not be evident, or they will not be exploring it. And they will be more dependent on instructions even for future also. So it is the bounded duty for us at the top level that we should develop a culture where it should be an enabling environment, not the micromanagement per se. So we have to do that. And another issue of toxicity you call, it is not a matter of toxicity, it is a matter of interpretation more. Supposing some information is being sought or something is there, because mobile is available, internet is available, anybody can send you any question, query, or any information can be sought at any point of time. You are at liberty to reply that within a reasonable period of time. Sending a communication and responding to that, I don't think they should be simultaneous. So toxicity, yes, that has to be avoided to a certain extent, but at the same time, we should not treat it much as a toxic environment, but at a matter of communication, that this is the communication technique available to us, and it should be taken in the right spirit, both at the bottom of the pyramid and at the upper spectrum of the pyramid also, that it should be a channel of communication, not it should be something which is for the micromanagement or torturing any people, giving us information or seeking information late at night or early in the morning. It should just be served as a channel of communication, one of the fastest channels of communication that should be there. And third, we have to provide some room of creativity to the down the line people, so that they come out with ideas, they can emerge as the future leaders. Micromanagement will cripple that opportunity to make that room for them.
Right. I have one last point to make. I'm very curious about it. Recently, Kumar Birla, I think at Davos, made a statement about the future emerging world as a world of 3 U's: unpredictable, unorthodox, and uncertain. So what one competency do you think you should be building in your leaders for the future?
I'm using a word, leaders need to be secure. So if I'm confident about myself, and I can be confident about myself and my abilities only when I keep working on myself. The rest of the organization which I manage, I'll get them ready to deal with an uncertain world, because you are absolutely right, and in a reference of structure, it changes every day, because it has to deal with the challenge which is getting thrown up today. We don't know what will RBI do in the first week of Feb, or what will happen in our budget. So our structures has to be agile enough, and agility works only if the person at the senior level are absolutely secure about themselves. So that's one competence I'll refer.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, Chinmay.
Yeah, so looking at various competencies, my personal view is that a leader has to play a role of a coach. Because a coach is a facilitator who facilitates to bring in the potential available within the person. So the coaching style, and the second aspect added to is transformative. Unless and until we are having that kind of vision enough where we need to go, where we need to reach after using all the levers. Though we are in an uncertain or a VUCA or a Bani world, which we call about, but definitely leaders need to have that clarity of thoughts, number one, and freedom of expression and trust, which is the main factor, and of course being a visionary with the strategic thinking mindset.
Yeah, but it is fast changing word. The only thing I can say that leaders should be agile and responsive. Only then we can cope with the situation.
Thank you so much for a cooperative panel, because we are really running out of time, and thank you so much for your patient listening. We are going to close now. Oh, you have questions? Welcome. At least one question, absolutely.
So adding, yeah. So adding to that comment by Mr. Birla about the world being unpredictable, uncertain, and unorthodox, right? So what qualities do you want in your employees, and are you going to scare them with AI? That okay, we're going to just replace you with AI. So as HR leaders, what do you really want in your employees, and what kind of transformation can you bring about in the employees, you know?
One thing is that you have to keep yourself relevant to the emerging environment, because society is not static. Economic environment is not static. So you have to be relevant. For being relevant, you have to be agile and responsive to the emerging situations, and you upgrade yourself. That is the only thing I can say.
And to add what Sir has mentioned, the topic of today's discussion itself is what we expect from our employees, being future leaders. So we don't want managers, we need more and more leaders. So, and how to empower them, that is the role of the top leaders, which we are looking at. And you talked about the AI and all, no need to scare, we need to build that trust that whatever may be, people are going to stay, because they are the backbone or the main crux for the growth of any organization. So that kind of trust we need to build in. And secondly, make them fully aware that whatever technology or AI is just their assistant. So you be better equipped enough to use it as an assistant, as an enabler. So that confidence, if we are able to build in, definitely I think we will be getting more and more future leaders, which we are looking at each employee.
I
Many
just say
thanks.
hire for attitude, train for skill. That's the mantra. And when computers came around 30, 35 years, I think the same narrative was built, that banks went on a strike saying because the jobs will be lost. If you compare the number of people employed in banking sector 30 years ago to now, it's become 5x. So different jobs will emerge.
If you see, the same thing has happened during the industrialization, the first phase into textile industry in London or UK, you can call it. Then transport industry. Everywhere mass representations were there, strikes were there, but ultimately it has led to a better future. So it will also lead, some sort of temporary disturbances might be there, might be some dislocations, job losses might be there, but that will be for a significantly lesser amount of people.
Thank you. You've been an amazing panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, if I may request our dignitaries to please stay back for the felicitation. If I can request Shashank Chen, General Manager Treasury of Indian Bank, along with Priya Panchal, Manager of the New India Assurance Company Limited, to please join us for the felicitation. Also, if we could have Anita Upadhyay from Zepto Learn to please join us on stage to help us with the felicitation as well. So Anita Upadhyay, Priya Panchal, and Mr. Shashank Jain, please to join us on stage and allow us an opportunity of requesting you to felicitate our panelists. Anita, I believe she's just stepped out. Okay, thank you. Shashank, if you can do us the honor. Mr. Shashank Jain, General Manager, Treasury, Indian Bank. Let's give a bigger round of applause to Dr. Asha Bhandarkar for curating such a wonderful conversation.
I'm the
Hanji.
resident gift giver, come moderator, so I don't need another gift. Thank you so much.
So ideally, we could have had, let's have Dr. Asha in the frame as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a bigger round of applause for all our panelists. And as we humbly thank them for their valuable time, we'd also like to thank all of you for your valuable time.
Shiv
We're now
Sangha
going to-
has written a book. Anita, Shiv Sangha has written a book. What is the name? Accident?
Banker by chance, leader by choice.
Banker by
Chance,
leader
by choice.
And all of you should read the book. His experience is ex-Bank of India. Of course, I was also there.
Sir.
And his all the whatever he had done in field, all that you must have brought there. It is a great. So thank you very much with all your busy schedule. Yeah.
Thank you for that. With that.